Live, live, live. Live, live, live. Licky-C, licky-K-Y. Licky-I-C, licky-K-Y. Or wait. Am I doing that right? You want to come up here, Cat? Licky-C-K, licky-Y. Licky-I-C, licky-K-Y. I've got that song stuck in my head. It's so stuck in my head. Excuse me. I hope we have some people today. I should probably turn off the TV. I've been watching the DNC, you know. Hi, Cat. Hi, Cat. Hi, Cat. So when we have more people, I wanted to talk about Mercury retrograde stories and a little bit about retrogrades in general. And then, of course, look at everyone's charts, you know. So let me open the chat. Open the chat. There we go. Oh, hi, just another quantum wave function. I had to take my cat to the vet yesterday. She's super sick, so when the vet calls, I have to dip in for a sec. I totally understand, sweetheart. I had to take my other cat, Pollux, to the vet yesterday. So he's out there. I have to keep them separated so I can tell if he's pooping or not. He went, I don't mean to be graphic, but he's backed up. He was throwing up, you know, and wasn't keeping food down, and I was really worried. So it was all Sunday. Hello, Cassie. Hi. So I took him into the vet yesterday, and they did an x-ray, and they said he was, you know, he was backed up with solid stool. So they were going to do an enema on him today, but he pooped last night, so I didn't take him. I didn't take him because... Hi, baby. Want to come here? Do you want to come here? You're going to mess up my dress? Ooh. Are you going to mess up my dress? So anyway, I had to take the bigger cat to the vet yesterday. And he's been on weight loss food for like 2 fucking years, and he hasn't lost a fucking pound. He's 26 fucking pounds. Like, the cat's the size of many dogs, you know? But anyway, I have him out there because I'm hoping he poops again. I just want to be sure. Otherwise, I'm going to take him back tomorrow for an enema, you know? So, I have to take a poop sample and see. Georgia had x-rays as well. They think it's more serious. I'm so sorry, baby. My cats are my babies, I know. I mean, my daughter's my baby. But I love my kitties, you know. Why are you wet? Oh, you peed. Ugh. See, you're getting your fucking wetness on my dress. It's so gross. Georgia peed, but no poop yet. Yeah, and I'm sorry, everyone, we're talking about this stuff. As far as me, how have I been? I've been okay. Taskmaster is a vet tech. Oh, it's your saliva. Whenever I pet this one, he drools, you know. Oh my God, I have stuff. I should turn the TV off. Where's the controller? Oh, whatever. I'm either watching the news or ancient Mesopotamian history, you know. You hope my pets feel better? I mean, this one's okay. At least for now, you know. The fat one. I'm sorry, I shouldn't call him the fat one, but he's morbidly obese. He's on weight loss food and hasn't lost a goddamn pound. Lighthouse, hello. Hello. I mentioned this 2 weeks ago in your reading. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, though. But, you know, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good at what I do. So I got some Mercury retrograde stories to tell. I'm going to read some from my phone. I'm just going to let people know that I'm live. Yes. We have a couple people here, which is fine. I keep singing this goddamn song. L-I-licky-C-K-licky-Y. Licky Licky KY. It was on like fucking TikTok on every goddamn video, you know? So, so anyway, let me just do this really quick. And Caster, Caster, please make sure there's no dead air. Why don't you talk to, talk to, this motherfucker sucks at talking, Puss in Boots, I like my puss bare, not in boots. If you feel me. If you feel me. Thank you, Quantum Function. Shaima is now a member. Congratulations, Shaima. Check out my class I did. We just did an astrology class, The first in what's hopefully going to be a whole series of installments that hopefully I can turn into, something more cohesive later. But you members get the first dibs, right? So for those of you who are interested, please consider becoming a member. You could see a join button below. And then you get access to, because all these streams, I have to set them to members only. But all these streams go to members only after they air. So please like the stream and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Please, please, please. I lose subscribers sometimes because I'm a fucking bitch. But we're going to start talking about Mercury Retrograde. It's so funny because one of the stories I got, this person was going to their girlfriend's house, and so she goes to the girlfriend's house and she, the girlfriend is away. So she starts, like a wonderful girlfriend, cleaning stuff. I can't believe she did all that, cleaning stuff up. Where the fuck did people go? Fucking cat hair. Anyway, she's trying to mess with her phone by accident and she calls 911. The fuck is this? Cat hair everywhere. She calls 911. And she's like, oh shit, and hangs up. And then they call her back. And they're like, are you okay? And she goes, yeah, I'm fine. It was an accident. I almost do that shit too. All of a sudden, like my phone's on SOS. Anyway. I'm going to read the rest of these in just a second. Okay. Okay. Where is everybody? Come on, motherfuckers. Okay. Anyway, I hope everyone's okay. I'm also excited because the DNC is going on, and it's really interesting. This is a really historic election, so I hope everyone appreciates the gravity. We're going to start looking at people's charts and talking about Mercury retrograde stuff. But here we go. I just want to read a couple of stories. I got some in DMs. These are going to be anonymous, of course. Anonymous. So here we go. Retrograde has been bananas, but my life has always felt bananas because I'm in an abusive relationship and I work in child welfare, but lots of things going haywire. We already had a big power outage last week in various parts of South Central Arkansas. Lots of plans going awry, travel delays, and confusion. Oh my gosh, who else has been having travel delays and confusion? I know I had travel delays, I was trying to go to physical therapy and everything kept intervening. My garage door wouldn't close because the power went out here and the garage door is powered, and I can't operate simple appliances. I don't know how the fuck a garage door opener works. Hi, Bexy. I don't know how a fucking garage door opener works. Please like the stream if you haven't already, and please subscribe to my channel. But I tried to manually like open the garage and pull it down, and then something happened. Like the track came off the chain or whatever. But I'm like, I'm gonna be fucking late. So I back out and I close the thing manually. And then I rush off and I come back and somehow it's working. So I assume a maintenance thing went through. But then the maintenance guy shows up and says, let me take a look at the garage door. I'm like, wait, someone already came. But no one had come. Somehow it was fucking fixed, you know. And then my SIM card in my phone, like my phone kept saying no SIM card, even though there was one. You know, this Mercury retrograde bullshit. Now, the good thing about it sometimes is we get contacted by people we haven't seen in a while, you know? So a cousin contacted me who I hadn't talked to in a while, and that was wonderful to talk to her. Oh, I watched 6 people try and pull out in a parking lot at the same time. That was fucking wild, yo. That was hilarious. Now let me see some. Oh my God, she's gorgeous. I hate it. There's a couple astrologers on Facebook that I follow who are just so goddamn hot. Ugh, it's awful. It's awful. Where are all these comments? Oh, look, we have lots of comments. Honestly, knock on wood, it hasn't been nearly as bad as I expected. Work's been hectic and exhausting with a metric fuck ton of people out sick or on vacation. More Mercury retrograde shit. But that's really all so far as the negative side. Oh, wait, a pulled muscle. Wait, hold on, that's nothing bad. Someone posted, this year has been so ridiculous and weird, I don't have the energy to be surprised anymore. A portal to another world could open up in my kitchen and I'd be like, well, I guess this is just another thing I'm gonna have to learn to live with. Hi, Vesna. Thank you for coming, sweetheart. Someone else said revenge on an ex. Finally, simply said and done. Other than my mind feels lethargic and delayed. I mean, it could be worse for sure. It could be worse for sure. A lot of people, one of the women I was talking to had an ex-boyfriend, an abusive ex-boyfriend come back into her life. And it's like, yo, just like block that shit. And then someone else was dating 2 exes recently. Or, you know, dating, right? Dating. Yeah, for me, dating doesn't include a whole lot of the date part, if you feel me. Unless I fall in love, like with Bexy. Then there's actual date. Well, sometimes there's actual dates, you know. So anyway, we'll start looking at your charts, but we'll start with members. In Taskmaster and Lighthouse Dreamer, we can look at your Mercury situation too. The reason why I wanted to talk about this, but you'd have to put your birth information in the chat. I think I have Lighthouse Dreamer, Francesca. Lighthouse Dreamer, aka Francesca, says, my computer crashed at work. So fucking typical. Excuse me. That's so fucking typical. A lot of the things we see with Mercury retrograde, right? With retrogrades in general, it's reversals. Excuse me. Delays. And it's also having to go back and redo things left undone. Especially with this, you know, because, what was it, on the 14th? Mercury entered Leo again, going retrograde, going backwards. And so whatever house that is for you will indicate, you know, sort of how you experience this thing. And then you look at the houses that Mercury rules to see what sort of topics are involved. Hi, Stephanie. Please like the stream and subscribe if you haven't already. Please, please, please. I lost subscribers after my election video, but it was my most popular video ever. I'm going to do another video, hopefully soon, about the Civil War and now. Sort of saying, like, is a civil war possible again? A second civil war? Let's look at the astrology. Because I see so many parallels between the election of 1860, when Abraham Lincoln was elected, and now. So, I'm not necessarily calling Kamala Abraham Lincoln, but, there may be an opportunity for all that. So we'll go into that another time. And we're also doing a video on the lunar eclipse coming up. The lunar eclipse, I think, is September 3rd, and that's sort of big deal. I'm really heavily into eclipses. I've done a lot of work on eclipses, so someday I'd like to write a book on eclipses, but I don't know, we'll see. I'm so fucking lazy, But anyway, and then after that eclipse, we have a solar eclipse in October. Oh, and I was going to do a video about 9/11 since September 11th is coming up and the astrology of 9/11. But anyway, with Mercury retrograde, the main things we think about are delays in travel, delays in messages, people telling you lies, deceiving, or changing their minds. That often happens, and that includes you. Like, we all get fucking flaky, don't we? We lose track of shit. We put shit off. We procrastinate. Maybe you procrastinate already. But if you don't, you're likely doing it now. You see? So the chart I have up is the Thema Mundi. That was from the class I did. We're not going to look at that right now. We're going to look at a transit chart. Or no, we'll look at one of your charts. We'll look at one of your charts. L-I-Licky-C-K, Licky-Y, L-Licky-I-C, Licky-K-Y. Okay, who was first here? Quantum function. I'm so sorry about that. Was it quantum function? Had to take my cat to... I don't see anyone in the chat before quantum. And thank you so much for all your support, quantum function, because I'm really trying to hopefully get more subscribers and stuff, because a lot of my business comes from people who see my live streams. A lot of my business comes from people who see my live streams. And I'd like to keep getting more clients because, I'm a single parent. I got a child to spoil. Can't spoil her too much. But, we just spent a bunch of money on clothes to go back to school and school supplies. So every little bit helps. Every little bit helps, sweetheart. I had finally got that out of my head, man. L-I-Licky-C-K, Licky-Y. L-Licky-I-C, Licky-K-Y. I love that song now. I kept hearing, I hated it at first. And then, it's like the Stockholm Syndrome. You get captured by it, and you can't help but fucking, start singing it. And I can't just sing to myself. Virgos can do that, because that's Mercury turned inward. I'm a fucking Gemini, yo. It's Mercury turned outward. I can't shut the fuck up. I'm like, singing this song. And I make it all of y'all's problem. We have another person here, it looks like. Please like the stream and subscribe to my channel. Okay, now we've got quantum functions chart up. So you can see her Mercury. Her Mercury is not happy in Sagittarius, right? Excuse me. Mercury was in Virgo in her first house, where Mercury is very happy. And that's quite advantageous, right? When Mercury goes through our first house, we're more articulate. We have more confidence. Really, most planets, like Jupiter, Venus, and Mercury going through your first, well, and the sun and the moon too. They encourage being assertive. They encourage a modicum of confidence. But sometimes, you know, if it's a malefic, it can be sort of imposing or aggressive or just downright mean, you know, or it could entail hurting yourself. So, but with Mercury going retrograde back into the 12th house, you have to see that Mercury, on the one hand, rules the first and also the 10th, right? So for those of you who remember, the first house is you. So for Francesca here, or I guess I'll just say Quantum, because I don't want to dox you, beautiful. I love you, Bexy. You're so sweet. I'm sorry I got it back in your head. Anyway, so Mercury represents you, but also what's visible about you. It's your life direction also. You know, having the moon conjunct your midheaven is quite sort of auspicious. I see that in the charts of successful people, usually. Excuse me. And the moon rules your 11th house. So it's like, I get by with a little help from my friends. Ugh, more cat hair. Yeah. I get high with a little help from my friends, right? So Mercury going back in the 12th house, it's not fun when it comes to topics that have to do with you and your life direction, okay? Now, it's a relatively short transit, right? Mercury just went into Leo, what, a week or so ago. Oh, your name is Cora. Do I have the wrong chart? Is this the wrong chart, sweetheart? Please tell me if this is the wrong chart, sweetheart. Are you a Virgo rising? I thought your name was Francesca. I'm so sorry. Your name is Cora. Your name is Cora. I'm so sorry, Quantum. I've been looking at this other fucking chart. I thought this was you. I'm so sorry. You're May 21st. That's right. You're born. So let me go back through all my fucking charts and find yours. L-I licky C-K licky Y. L licky Y. Sorry. Quantum. Quantum, quantum. 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 Where's my dear Quantum? I know I have you in here. I'm just so ADHD that I lose shit. Quantum, where the fuck are you? Where's Quantum? Here we go. Ugh, I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I'm so sorry. Well, whoever Francesca is, they missed out. If you're just joining me, like the stream and subscribe to my channel. We're doing free readings, but we're talking about Mercury Retrograde and how it's gone for everyone. And getting confirmation about how it went. So, also subscribe to my channel. I prioritize members of my channel and people who donate. And please say a prayer for my cat. I need him to be better. So in this case, this is more interesting. Because this is your 7th and your 6th house. Right? Excuse me. Excuse me. That's right. You have that 0-degree Gemini very close to my sun. So, in your case, Mercury rules your 4th house. You know, of your home, your father, your background, the place of your birth. Yeah, it also has to do with, I mean, like I said, your homeland, real estate, genealogy, history, your family past. I imagine you're interested in history. I have my Mercury in the 4th house too. Excuse me. Excuse me. So you could see this as having to do with the home or the father or, you know, your private life or your past, right? 10th is the public life. 4th is the private life. Stupid shit. Hey, this month I definitely found out that I'm queer and I invited a girl on a date. Oh, I'm sorry you took that away. But I am so happy for you and proud of you. I'm so happy and proud of you. Yeah, I'm pretty fucking queer. I prefer women, but, you know, I'm not that, like, discriminative against genitals. You know. I shouldn't say that out loud on this shit. It's just I say everything. So anyway, Mercury went retrograde from your seventh house. And when Mercury's in your seventh house, yeah, when Mercury's in your seventh house, it often has to do with communication with partners, right? It's a great transit for sort of developing a rapport with your spouse or your boyfriend or girlfriend or partner, whatever you want to call them. You know, it's you know, and with Mercury ruling your fourth house, where you have Mercury placed, you know, you have a very happy Mercury, and then also ruling your seventh house, where Mercury's also very happy. I would imagine having very productive conversations with a spouse. I deleted it because I wanted to write. That's okay. Yeah, whenever. My dad called me yesterday morning, which is unusual, and I do love history. Yeah, you see, Mercury rules the house of the father in your case. Messages from the father. Now, Mercury's gone back into your sixth house. So there could be messages also about your health, about from someone who you don't like. Yeah. You know, because the sixth house is enemies. Or it could be news about a pet or an animal, right? Your dad could be sick because the sixth house is injuries and illnesses. Or a partner or spouse could get sick. But yeah, messages or calls from your father are very characteristic of this, right? Because Mercury retrograde brings messages. Yeah. So that's again why I say there could be health test results or something that comes up, sixth house, you know. But likely it has to do with your dad or a partner. So, but it looks like you've already gotten calls from your father. So that's quite interesting, isn't it? That's really I mean, I hope it's going good for you. Now, Mars is going through your fourth house, so maybe it wasn't very good. Maybe your dad is sick, or maybe it didn't go super well. I don't know. Excuse me. But Mars going through Gemini usually indicates some difficulty there. Mars is going to go into your fifth house, though, in September. So if you have kids, they're going to be a pain in the fucking ass. You know, so just be prepared for that. You know, my daughter and I, we bicker sometimes. Just lovingly bicker. But we got frustrated with each other while Mars was in Gemini, you know. She was frustrated with me, on the one hand, for like repeating over and over and over again to put away her clothes, pick up her trash, pick up her dishes. Excuse me. And then she fights me on it. She says, I know, I know, I know. And I'm like, well, if you knew, you would have done it. You know, and she's likely neurodivergent like me, and you have to give kids options. You have to give kids options. Like, well, do you want to do the dishes first or the clothes first? Or do you want to do it now or in 30 minutes? You know, when it's in 30 minutes, they have to do it. I mean, because then 30 minutes is now. Cassie, thank you for praying for my cat. Can you look at my transits and tell me September? So yeah, we'll look at your transits. I'm handling all the members first. We were looking at Quantum, and then we're looking at Cassie, and then we're looking at, what is it, Shaima and Bexy, and then we can look at Taskmaster to Rosa Scroza and Stephanie. We have Lighthouse Dreamer. Oh, maybe Lighthouse Dreamer's Francesca. I'm sorry. Lighthouse Dreamer. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to get people mixed up. And Stephanie, of course, we just said too. So we'll get to everyone, okay? We'll get to everyone. Just please hang out. If you stay here, I will get to you, okay? Don't leave. Don't leave me. Feed me, Seymour. Feed me. Rosa Scrosa, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. My love from Croatia. My love from Croatia. I hope it's going okay in Croatia right now. I hope it's going okay. Thank you, Rosa. So really quick, we've sort of gone through this quickly, but what else? Yes, Dad. It was about my son who was just deployed to Asia. Holy Lord, yes, Mars. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You know, and the sixth house has to do with fighting, and it's sort of interesting too. Feed me, Seymour, feed me. You know, yeah. But you see, your fifth house is ruled by the moon, and you can look at the moon in Leo in your sixth house. You know, I would typically think of that as a son who either had health problems or a son who was a workaholic, perhaps. Or again, the sixth house has to do with enemies and conflicts and fighting. It's where Mars finds his joy. You can put me in the bottom of the list. Okay, Bexy. Thank you for giving your place to someone else. You're very sweet. So anyway, the fact that your son is a soldier makes a lot of sense. What's wrong, baby? You have water right there. What's wrong? Oh, no, he's fucking throwing up. But he's probably throwing up a hairball. Yeah, that was a hairball. These motherfucking cats are so gross. Why can't they just be healthy? Ugh. You son of a motherfuck. You see, Mars is trying my moon right now. And of course, my moon rules my second house of pets, so my pets get fucking sick. You know, Mars is illnesses too. So it really makes sense that your son is a soldier, you know. Anyway. So unfortunately, that makes sense. Anyway, I'm so sorry, baby. But I mean, the stuff with your dad is quite interesting. And your Mercury's a happy Mercury being in Gemini. So this would be more pleasant for you than for other people who have a not happy Mercury, you see? Ugh, fucking hairball. Ugh. I'll clean it up later. So anyway, you have sort of similar situations to me. A couple similar things. Anyway, we'll move on to the next person. I mean, it sounds like that made sense for you, my dear Quantum, my dear Cora. I'm so sorry. I totally mixed up your name with Lighthouse Dreamer. So, Cassie. Let's find Cassie. So we still have Cassie's chart. Justin, I'm usually not allowed to talk to my dad without my stepmother on the phone too. That's why we don't talk. I'm 43 and she's been my stepmom since 96. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. Well, that makes sense too. Let me go back to your chart for a second. I just want to see. Wait, where the hell is... Hi, cat. Like, you're staring at me like you want to come up. You're staring at me like you want to come up, but I don't know what the fuck you want. Oh! Yeah, I mean, Mars is square your Mercury, which sort of makes sense, too. Being cut off from your dad, unfortunately. But Mercury's still happy, so it's not all bad. I mean, I don't know if there's... if there's still some if there's still some possibilities, you know, of having a good relationship. So you're 44, I'm 41, you know. Anyway, let's move on to Cassie. So Cassie, Cassie, it's your Mercury. So number one, Mercury was in Virgo. Oh, see, we have another Pisces rising. Well, this is no fun. This is no fun. But you have Mercury in Taurus like I do. And Mercury's wedged between the moon and the sun. I mean, you got what's called a balsamic moon. So it's the very end lunar phase. But it's really, really, I mean, it's 10 degrees away. So you're approaching the new moon. But you're in the very end of the lunar phases, which tends to be a bit more critical, melancholy, and Saturnian. And we've probably talked about that. It has a Saturnian type nature, you know? It has a Saturnian type nature. That's my Eckhart Tolle impression. Excuse me. Eckhart Tolle. And you see, when you observe the self, you get to a deeper dimension of consciousness. That's my Eckhart Tolle. For those of you who know Eckhart Tolle, please, if you're just joining us, like the stream and subscribe to my channel. I need everyone's fucking help. I prioritize. We're doing readings here. We're doing Mercury readings. And I prioritize members of my channel and donations. So please consider either becoming a member or shooting me a little tippy. Just the tip. Well, more than just the tip. I want to see how the whole thing feels, you know. I want to put it inside my bank account. I'm kidding. I mean, you know. So anyway, Mercury's in your third house and retrograde. I have Mercury retrograde too. That typically means that the houses that Mercury rules experience delays. You know, someone said your Tolle is so good. I know. Yeah, one of my ex-partners used to listen to him on CD all the time. You know, there's some good stuff about being present and everything else, but, you know, I mean, some of it was just boring. Because I was so, you know, I was involved in the occult from a very young age. But it's useful stuff because people need to hear about the power of being present, the power of now, you know. But he goes off on a lot of tangents. Really, that's all you need to say is, be here now, right? And that's why I preach the practice of learning to put the sense of attention on the sensation of being you, right? Because that's the big mystery. Meanwhile, Tolle's talking about all kinds of stuff that's supposed to point to whatever he experienced. But anyway, you know, he experienced that whole dissolution of identity, according to him, right? And he was in a place of self. None of you care about Eckhart Tolle. None of you care about fucking Eckhart Tolle. So Mercury rules your fourth house too. And your seventh house. Right? And Mercury's gone back into your sixth. Now you could be having the same thing. Which can be fights with partners, oftentimes. It can be arguments with partners. It can be having to take care of a sick pet. Right? It could be messages from your dad, sort of like quantum. And, I mean, I'd be interested to hear what you've been dealing with, you know, or what you've experienced thus far. So, you know, when Mercury's in your seventh house, it's pretty constructive, you know, for relationships. But when Mercury goes retrograde back into your sixth house, we get flare-ups of illnesses, right? We might have injuries that happen. Our father, right? Or one of our parents or grandparents could experience injuries, you know, or experience illnesses. Yes. Or a spouse or a partner could experience an illness. You can have a sick pet. Did I already say that? Now, the interesting thing about Mercury and all this is it sort of indicates that constructive relationships, like romantic relationships, would happen later in life. Now, specifically to see when, you'd need a full reading, you know. But having miscommunication with family members, I mean, that's quite characteristic, isn't it? You know. I'd be careful of arguments with family members, quite frankly, because the sixth house is conflicts, right? The sixth house is conflicts. Oh, and then we got to go to Rosa Scroza. We really do. We got to go to Rosa Scroza and Shima. Rosa Scroza and Shima. So I won't spend too long on this. But Mercury in Leo is going to be aspecting your Jupiter. It's, oh wait, no, never mind. Nope. Is Mercury going to be aspecting anything? Oh, your natal Mercury. And you see, that's quite interesting. Mercury square Mercury. So, to me, this is challenging the way you think. Everyone in our family did get sick a few days ago. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. It will get better. You know, it will get better. Mercury goes direct on August 28th. And I think re-enters Virgo on September 4th. So you will see things get better as you get into September. Now, if you have children, it could be difficult with Mars going into Cancer. But also, it could make you quite amorous, right? Quite sexual. Or wanting to have fun, you know? Like just, I need to get out and do stuff, you know? I mean, for me, when Mars goes through my 5th house, my daughter and I, as I said, sometimes bicker and argue. But then I also get like super, super fucking horny, you know? So, that's one possibility for you. J Management. It's going great. Thank you for coming here. Please like the stream and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Taskmaster says I'll be 41 next week. I'm 41 now. At least I don't look like it. But shit. You know, it's cramping my style. It's really cramping my style. So it's interesting to hear that stuff, Cassie. And as I said, Mercury, things will get better as Mercury goes into your 7th house. And a sign that Mercury really likes, right? The Mercury's ruling sign and sign of exaltation, Virgo. So you'll see improvements with your family, right? And you'll see perhaps constructive things with relationships, yeah? Or maybe, you know, I don't know if you're involved in business partnerships or if you have a competition sometimes, some sort of opponent or adversary, but you would be in the superior position, you know? You would be a little bit, you would have the edge, as we say, right? So this is good stuff too. It's just right now you're in a difficult period with the retrograde. But now let's move on to the next person. I hope that was okay. Let's look at Rosa Scroza. Do we have Rosa Scroza's chart? And then Shima. Then you're after Rosa Scroza. Do we have Rosa Scroza on? Oh wait, no, you sent me your data. So I will just put it on here. Oops. Rosa Scroza. Rosa Scroza. I hope I'm not like saying that wrong or whatever. So September 26th, 1987. Oh my God. Like, are both of you fucking sick now? Jesus Christ. What's wrong, baby? Are you sick now too? Ugh. He coughed up a hairball. Let me see if you're gonna eat again. What? Fucking sick animals. Mars is aspecting my moon, and the moon represents my pets. I have you from before. I know. I can't find anything. It's in, like, I've got like 75 charts on my on my thing, and I can't find it. 1:10 p.m. Split. Are you okay now, baby? Where'd you go? Where'd you go, sweetheart? Oh my God, why can't I have any healthy animals? Why can't I have any healthy animals? So here's Rosa Scroza. Good, we have a Sagittarius rising. Thank God. I don't want to see any more Pisces risings, please. I mean, it's okay if you have Pisces rising. It's just I don't want to repeat the same shit, you know? Because Mercury will rule the same fucking houses for all of you. You have Mercury in Libra. So hard to make a decision. It's like, you know, which one of these? They both look good. This one's pink, but I really like black. But like I really like pink too, because pink would go with the orange or whatever. They don't, but you know what I'm saying. But black goes with everything. But you know, it's that kind of oscillation back and forth because you can see things from multiple sides and multiple points of view. So it's easy to get what's called analysis paralysis, if you're familiar with that. It's hard to make a decision. And you know what? Studies say that the more options you give someone, the more confused they get and the harder it is to make a decision. At least that's what I learned in retail when I used to work retail. Excuse me. Now let's look at this shit. Mercury rules what? Your 7th house and your 10th house. Because you're a Sag rising. So you see the whole mutable cross here. The whole mutable cross is ruled by either Jupiter or Mercury. And there's interesting stuff behind that to me. But I don't have to go into that right now. But see, to me, it's like the lower mind versus the higher mind. And I hate making those delineations. But it's like the gathering of material knowledge on the one hand, knowledge about the world or whatever. Whereas, you know, Mercury is knowledge, whereas Jupiter's understanding. Understanding. Jupiter is sort of the cohesive worldview that you develop from the knowledge gathering of Mercury. So on the one hand, they seem to be at odds, but on the other hand, they're interconnected, right? You can't have one without the other. Just like Venus is opposite Mars, right? They're interconnected. You can't have one without the other, right? All the Mars-ruled signs are opposite the Venus-ruled signs, aren't they? Right? And of course, Saturn is opposite the Sun and the Moon, as we've talked about before. Excuse me. So anyway, in your case, though, Mercury's going retrograde back into the 9th house. Yeah? So typically when I see that, on the one hand, it could have to do with, I don't know if you ever worked for a university or you worked for in an academic setting or maybe in a legal setting, but you're probably having to revisit something to do with your employment. It could be a former boss or employer calls you. You know, it could be a change in life direction, right? Because that's the 10th house too. But a change in your philosophical or spiritual life direction. You see, you might be returning to an old philosophy or worldview or ideology that you thought you'd left behind. You know, you're having to redo something that has to do with the spiritual path that you've chosen, perhaps, or that has to do with the political situation, you know, around you, wherever you live right now. If you're just joining me, like the stream and subscribe to my channel, please, please, please. Or I'm going to find you. I'm going to fly to your house and knock on your door. And I'm going to start some shit. I mean, I'm kidding. Am I? But yes. So, that's a joke. It's a joke, YouTube. Okay? Don't fuck with me. And it could also have to do with a spouse or a partner. Yeah? It could have to do with a partner and what they believe, quite frankly, or what their worldview is. It could also represent a legal situation left unresolved, right? A legal situation that could deal with an ex-partner. That's often a thing. Or a legal situation having to do with a former employer. So anyway, I'd like to hear what you've experienced. But we'll go on to the next person. We'll go on to the next person. It's important to note, though, that Mercury, where's Mercury right now? What degree? I should know this shit off the top of my head, but, you know, I've been looking after some sick cats. Mercury is at 25 degrees Leo. You see, so Mercury has just formed a sextile to your natal Mercury. So this is quite interesting, you see. So there could be some beneficent things, although having a retrograde aspect this still makes it quite difficult, you see. So, you know, there could be something good that comes out of these conversations, but they won't be easy. They will be difficult, and they could be contentious, right? They could be contentious because we have a retrograde thing here. Or it could be that you've been waiting for messages for a long time, and it's like, what the fuck? So, thank you so much, Mama Tan Swan. Thank you so much, Mama Tan Swan. I follow you on Facebook. You're so funny. I adore you. Thank you so much. From Grand Rapids, Michigan. Oh, wonderful. You turned 35 this Saturday. We'll get to you really quick. Everyone, please hang on, and I will get to everyone. I will get to everyone today. I promise you. Who was after? We had Rosa Scroza. And we did Cassie. We did Quantum. We did Quantum. Oh, Shima. We'll do Shima's Mercury really quick. I think we've already looked at your chart last week. So we'll just do this really quick, Shima. And thank you for all your support. Thank you for all your support, sweetheart. You've been so wonderful to me. Thank you for all of you who've number one, subscribe to my channel, but even more importantly, who have joined my memberships. Just so you know, we do members only live streams now. I'm doing members only classes on ancient astrology, and everyone seems to love them so far. So please join, and then you can see those. You can join us, or you can, you know, watch the recordings later. So for Shima's Mercury, you gotta stay here. You're welcome, Rosa Scroza. Motherfuckers have to stay here if you're going to get a reading, because if I ask for your name or, you know, to see if you're still here, I'm going to move on to make sure I get to everybody. So please, please, please stick around. Stick around. So where's Mercury here? You have Mercury in Leo. Excuse me. Mercury in Leo likes to be the decider, right? George W. Bush had it, the decider, right? Bill Clinton had it, right? And he was kind of a bullshitter, wasn't he? You know, I did not have sexual relations with that woman, right? And or J.D. Vance says, I did not have sectional relations with that couch. Sorry, it's still funny to me. Or, you know, Barack Obama had this too. And he's sort of known for being self-absorbed. Like, he's like, y'all know who I am. You know, he may have been the best president out of the three, but still kind of self-absorbed, right? But, so you could see that with Mercury and Leo. The other thing you see with Mercury and Leo are people who tell tall tales, right? The bullshitters, the salesmen, the salespeople, right? So you could see people like Billy Mays. Does everyone remember OxyClean? Billy Mays here for OxyClean. Billy Mays for Mighty Mendon, right? The infomercial thing. We see people who are very confident at selling bullshit, right? George W. Bush sold a fucking war that totally, you know, may have really ruined the United States, you know, put it in a very precarious position. Anyway, so Mercury is going retrograde from your fourth house into your third. You know, and Mercury rules your fourth house of your dad, right? Or, you know, the country of your birth, your father, your family history and your genealogy, right? All that kind of stuff. And with Venus in your fourth house too, I bet you do have a strong attachment to the place of your birth or your homeland. Thank you, Rosa Scroza, for joining. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Yes, they are super interesting. Hi, Ms. Colston. Happy Mars Day. Happy. Thank you, Taskmaster, for putting your stuff in there. So I'm going to try and go faster through these. But once again, we could see messages from parents, of course. Rogue reemerged. Hello. Thank you for coming. Awesome. I'm going to get to please like this stream and subscribe to my channel. We do free chart readings, but I do prioritize members and people who donate, of course. You know, because we live in late stage capitalism and I'm a single parent, of course. You see, Venus isn't happy though in Virgo. So, you know, on the one hand, we might expect, you know, messages from the father or from grandparents or from family in general that that may be more positive. But at the same time, I don't think you have a great relationship with your father, perhaps. Maybe your father's an intellectual or is a teacher, very erudite and just very hard to connect with. But Mercury going back into the third house, though, could write messages from extended family as well. Aunts, uncles, cousins, siblings, of course, right? And the sun rules your siblings. Yay, Ms. Colston, you're so sweet. And thank you for all your support, Ms. Colston. Ms. Colston has been one of my biggest supporters for a long time. Now, Mercury going back into third house could also bring messages from extended family, as I said. But then it rules your first house as well. So you see, this could also have to do with your own education. Rosa Scroza says, Saturn is in my first house. So this is my place. Yeah. Well, Rosa Scroza, I didn't talk much about your Saturn, but having Saturn in your first house also indicates sometimes looking for our value through other people. So one of the big lessons for Saturn in the first house is to get over codependency. At least there's a tendency there. Because, you see, we need to find self-worth and value inside. And Saturn is sort of suppressing that in the first house. You know, whereas in the opposite house, it makes someone way more hyper independent and mistrusting of people, right? Sort of building up a wall. Saturn in the seventh house, whereas Saturn in the first house is like the inability to have boundaries. And boundaries are what you're willing to put up with. And for boundaries to work, you have to actually enforce them and stick to them. And for that to be possible, you have to be willing to walk away from a relationship. And relationships aren't fulfilling until you're willing to walk away. You know, because if you're too scared to walk away, then you let yourself be treated like crap. But I say that every week. It's just, you can never say it enough. You really can't. You also have to watch out for the Mercury-Neptune thing, because you're prone to fantasy and believing your own bullshit. Like, you may make up memories that never even happened. Like, oh yeah, I remember when I caught that fish, and it really wasn't yours. It was like maybe someone else's memory. You know, but anyway, you might be a bit psychic too. You might be a bit psychic too. So, excuse me. So in Shima's case, Saturn's in the second house, which often we grow up quite poor or with a lack of resources and learning to conserve. So Mercury going back into your third house could also be about your own education. Maybe there's something you need to go back and learn, right? Maybe you left a project undone. Maybe you left a task or an errand left undone. Maybe you get news about yourself and your own health, right? The first house is also your mind, which is why I'm talking about going back and exploring new philosophies, new facts, new books, maybe new media. The third house is also the media we consume. It's like news, right? You may be into the news. I'm watching the fucking news all the time, you know? I'm constantly watching the news. And Mars rules my third house, you know? And is in my fifth. So I have fun, right? I watch the news for fun. I'm such a fucking nerd. I've done that since I was a kid. So anyway, so that's Shima. We talked about Shima. Let's move on. And after Shima, we had After Shima. Who was after Shima? We saw Quantum, Cassie. We did Rosa Scroza. We did Rosa. We have to do Mama Tan Swan. And then the rest of you who haven't donated or are not members, I will get to you too. And we will get to Miss Colston. I'm sorry. Mama Tan Swan. I got you next, sweetheart. Are you still here, Mama Tan Swan? Are you here, Mama Tan Swan? Rogue reemerged, says Saturn in the 7th house square my nodes. Fun. Yeah, it's quite difficult because on the one hand, you may have a sense of destiny, like I'm destined for great things or whatever. But it also seems like they never happen, Or if they do, they happen later, of course. The nodes are often seen as malefic in some astrological traditions like Vedic or even ancient astrology, but it was like they could amplify the bad stuff and the good stuff, Well, the North Node, rather, whereas the South Node does the opposite. It mitigates or decreases both the bad and the good, right? So, yay, Mama Tan Swan, here we go. Mama Tan Swan. I hope I'm saying your stuff correctly, and thank you for all the wonderful compliments. I really do appreciate it. I'm so vain. And flattery will get you everywhere with me. Flattery will get you everywhere. Grand Rapids, Michigan. 3:47 a.m. I haven't eaten anything today. I need to eat after this. Tan Swan. Mama Tan Swan. Okay, I'm sorry, sweetheart. I hope I'm saying it correctly now. Mama Tan Swan. Mama Tan Swan. Am I saying it correctly, baby? Michigan. Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids. Okay. Here's Mama Tan Swan. We have a Cancer rising. Jupiter exalted in the 1st house. That's very auspicious. And Jupiter rules the 9th house. So spirituality is a big deal for you. It's part of your identity and part of your life path. I have a similar thing. I have my 1st house ruler in the 9th house. Unfortunately, it's Saturn, so I'm always at war with spirituality and God. So, thank you, Mama Tan Swan. So, now where's Mercury? You have Mercury in Virgo, which is quite intelligent. Unfortunately, you have Mercury co-present with Mars. And the Sun is co-present, right? It's not necessarily a conjunction by degree, but they're co-present in the same sign, so they still have an effect on each other. So there could be a tendency to argue, right? Tendency to argue or to speak harsh words, to speak too quickly and regret it later. I only use whole sign houses. Rogue reemerged asked, what house system do you use? I only use whole sign houses. Why? Because it's the original house system, the OG house system, right? Which was used in ancient astrology, and you must use whole sign houses for many ancient timing techniques. Plus, it just works better. It does. Because you can observe for yourself when a planet enters a sign, how that house and its topics are activated for you in your life, So whole sign houses is the best. I really don't like quadrant houses. I don't like Placidus. The only quadrant house system I'll use is called Porphyry, which is another ancient house system, but it's quadrant, meaning that it divides the houses up using your rising sign, and your midheaven. Right, those create the angular houses. So the rising sign, the 1st house would start at the rising degree. I hate that shit. Anyway, we don't need to waste time on that, but I only use whole sign. So I wonder if you have conflicts with siblings. I wonder if you have conflicts with siblings or extended family. But you're probably, excuse me, maybe you have to use communication in your job. Like maybe you're involved in media, or broadcasting or speaking, right? Or travel in some way. Uber, a cab, maybe, you know. But you're also probably quite anal about where stuff goes. Like, that goes here, that goes there. No, it needs to be turned this way. I also think of Virgo Mars as like at work, and they're like, I'm going to turn my pencil holder a quarter turn this way so I can see if someone used my desk, right? So anyway, Mercury's going retrograde back into the second house. So there's something you left undone with finances, expenses, or your stuff. Maybe you lost something and you're having to find it again. Maybe there was a bill or something you didn't pay, right? Mercury also rules your 12th house. So it could also be something to do with your psychological health or the psychological health of a sibling or extended family member, right? Sometimes it's self-destructive behavior. You don't want to get into that. And it could be a loss of money. So once again, be careful. You have to save and just be aware of, you know, unforeseen expenses or owing people money or something that you didn't resolve in that way. That's typically what it is. Like I said, it could also be messages from extended family. It could also be stuff having to do with therapy. Like I said, self-destructive behavior and addiction oftentimes factors into that. I don't know if those are... I mean, your moon's in the 12th house, right? When I see the moon in the 12th house, I do often think of self-destructive behavior. I think of, you know, mental health issues. I mean, I'm bipolar, you know, so I have that shit too. I'm not judging. And we also see issues with substance abuse or neurodivergence. That's a thing too. I'm neurodivergent, right? So, but, you know, that's not a death sentence or anything. This is, like I said, a relatively quick transit. When Mercury goes direct at the end of the month, you should see a resolution to the situation, even though it might feel stressful now. And then when Mercury goes back into Virgo in early September, you know, you're going to see a big shift in your attention back to, you know, media, news, your own communication, writing or speaking projects, your own education, if you have anything to do with, you know, with schools or training or shit like that, right? And it's also messages from extended family, having to communicate with extended family. And once again, like I said, there could be a painful or self-destructive issue with an aunt, uncle, cousin, sibling, whatever, you know. But let's move on. I hope that was okay for you, Mama Tanswan. I'll say one or two little things, because Mars is going through your 12th house right now, which usually does also indicate having to face self-destructive behavior. You know, we often want to be alone, and not in a good way, you know. I have Moon conjunct Pluto and Scorpio. I know, Rosa Scrolls, I think we've talked about that. I have Moon conjunct Pluto also, you know, and we tend to be on the bipolar coaster, you know. Or we have mama trauma, or both, you know. So all support to you, girl. Thank you so much, Rosa Scroza. And thank you for all your support. You're so wonderful to me. Thank you. I really appreciate you. So anyway, Mars is going through your 12th house right now, which is not fun. You know, and we get this fuck it mentality where we start engaging in self-destructive behavior. And it does help us to become aware of it, right? Then when Mars goes into the first house, also in early September, you're going to see a lot more confidence and perhaps assertiveness. The difficulty that comes with that, though, is sometimes this surge or rush of energy that we get. It can push us to be mean to others or be dismissive of others or want to control others, you know. On the other hand, too, it could signify that you're rushing too much and you get cut or burned or scraped. Good afternoon. Haven't made it to a live in quite a while. Thank you for coming, Lachana. And please like the stream and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I need all the help I can get. So anyway, Mama Chan Swan. You got some stuff to look forward to because Jupiter's in the 12th house too. So after Mars leaves, you're going to see more of this benefic Jupiter influence, which has to do with healing. It's all about healing, you know? Yeah, I have Moon conjunct Pluto too. It's rough. It's a rough one. I have very volatile emotions and I get very obsessive with romantic partners sometimes. Or I can. But I can tell when I get anxious, it's not a good thing. Love is not obsession. Obsession can be toxic. Love is something you grow into. Obsession is something you fall into. You know? Thank you feels accurate and gives me peace. Yeah, so the Jupiter thing is going to improve. It's about healing, as I said, right? And it's going on till next June. So this is a long transit, or next May, rather, I guess. It's a long transit. So you're going to spend this time. I suggest you get into therapy, perhaps, if you're not already, right? Because you're going to be doing a lot of healing and mental healing. And it's a good thing, but it's not comfortable, right? Because you have to face parts of yourself that you'd rather not face. But then next year, the summer of next year, Jupiter's going to go into your first house. And you're going to be having your Jupiter return. And that will be lovely and auspicious. That will represent the fulfillment of a healing process, right? It's like coming out of your cocoon again. Jupiter in the 12th is putting you in your cocoon to lick your wounds and to go through your changes, right? Because there's stuff that you've left undone. And then in the first house next year is going to be very wonderful and advantageous for you because you've also dealt with a lot of codependency probably, right? And relationships for you get better as you get older. So anyway, we did Mama Tan's one. Let's quickly do Ms. Colston and then we'll get to the rest of the rabble. Please like the stream and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And consider becoming a member, please. It helps me out doing all this wonderful content. There's a join button below. There's a join button below. Where the fuck? Where the fuck did Solar Fire go? Okay, we have Ms. Colston. Yes, I'm in therapy and studying to get... Oh, you're studying to be a therapist. That's amazing. That's really wonderful. So you see, that's a good... you have Venus trine your moon, right? You have a night chart, so Venus is your best planet. Venus is very happy in Libra. That Venus rules your 4th house, whereas Taurus, and your 11th house, right? And the moon rules what? Or the moon rules your 1st house and is in the 12th house. So on the one hand, right, Venus is making this wonderful aspect to the moon and increasing the moon's dignity. Because the moon, anything being the 12th house is not really happy. And the moon rules your 1st house, right? So that signifies all the addiction stuff on the one hand and depression or whatever. But on the other hand, Venus signifies healing from all of that, you see? So there's a lot of good stuff here. But let's move on because... we got so many fucking people to get to. And thank you for being patient, everyone. Please stick around if you want a chart reading. Please stick around. I'm doing my best to get to everyone. Yes, Lachana, I'm still doing charts right now. Yes, you can put your information in the chat. So for Ms. Colston, we're looking at Mercury specifically. Now you have the same situation as the last person. So it's still the same kind of stuff. Right, Mercury originally being in Virgo before they went retrograde. Oftentimes we get messages from extended family, or we have constructive relationships or communications with extended family, siblings and all that bit. Mercury rules your 3rd house and your 12th house. So once again, it could have to do with your own healing too. With talking to therapists. Could also symbolize some sort of needing to be alone because the 12th house is involved, isolation. But Mercury's going back into the 2nd house, so it will involve money. Unfortunately, when Mercury rules the 12th house, it can be a loss of money or someone stealing from you, right? That can be a thing. The eighth house is usually like criminal stuff and thievery, but the 12th house sort of disappears things, doesn't it? If I may verb the word, excuse me. But you could still see messages from siblings or extended family. I just think oftentimes there's something financially left undone. I guess for me, there's something romantically left undone. Like, I'm expecting to get called from someone I got ghosted by. Because I get ghosted more than a haunted house, you know? Which is fine. The reason why I do well romantically at all is because you ever hear the old saying that if you throw enough darts, eventually you hit bullseyes? I just throw a shitload of fucking darts. That's what I do. But, you know, it can be exhausting. It can be exhausting. Because I'm throwing so many fucking darts. You know? Excuse me. So anyway, so Mercury, I think is going to hit your Saturn. I think Mercury is going to hit your Saturn. Does Mercury go back that far? I don't remember. Does Mercury go retrograde back that far? Nope. 21 degrees. 21 degrees. So, you know, relatively close to your Saturn. What else do you have around 21 degrees? Your Sun. So that's kind of auspicious, isn't it? Oh, square your Jupiter. I mean, that's kind of auspicious too, to be honest with you. So you may sort of experience this as not too bad. Fortunately, this might not be too bad for you. It could be a money situation that gets resolved with relatively little pain or relatively little discomfort. It could be a bill that came out of left field. Or sometimes with Mercury retrograde, it's like you got a new credit card and the date changed, and then all your fucking, you know, auto pays or whatever, you have to change them all, or I don't know. But something that goes a little haywire with your finances. So just be aware. Anyway, let's move on to the next person. Who was after Ms. Colston? Who was after Ms. Colston? I think it's Taskmaster. I think it's Taskmaster. Taskmaster's still here. Hooray. Taskmaster. The Taskmaster. The Taskmaster. You were at the top. And then we have Lighthouse Dreamer. And then we have Stephanie. Stephanie. So we're doing Taskmaster first. After Taskmaster, we're getting to Lighthouse Dreamer. If you're still here, if any of you people are still here, I will sort of sound off and just make sure. Because otherwise, I want to, you know, move on to the next person. And we'll get back to you if you come back. So Taskmaster. God, I'm getting so fucking hungry. Not Ticketmaster. No, you don't want to be involved in a monopoly situation, do you? Right? Because I heard, was it the Labor Relations Board or the FTC? One of them was looking at a monopoly case against Ticketmaster. T.A. Khalil. Hello and welcome. Please subscribe to my channel and like the stream if you haven't already, please. Taskmaster. 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 I just lost my place. Such bad ADHD. 8/29, you're about to have your birthday. 1983, same year as me. FCC won't let me be because I feel so empty without me. Right? Feel so empty without me. Little hellions. Kids being rebellious. Thank you, T.A. Khalil. So 8/29. I'm so sorry. I gotta keep my attention on here. They won't let me be 'cause it feels so empty without me. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Na, 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 na. Na, 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 na. I love Eminem, but I understand why he's problematic also. But I mean, I've been quite problematic in my life too. You could probably argue I still am. Brooklyn, is that Kings County? Brooklyn, Kings County, or Delaware County? Ticketmaster. Sorry, Taskmasters. You got this stuck in my head. I'm going to assume it's Kings County, but it's making me choose between Delaware County and Kings County. I just settled on my lawsuits. Fuck you, Debbie. Yes, Kings. That's what I thought. You're welcome, Ms. Colston. God, my hair looks awful today. La 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 la. La la la. I feel like I look like I'm bald. My hairline is further back than Paul Atreides' mother. At least from the 70s, Dune, you know. So many problematic people like Dune also. So anyway, this is Taskmaster's chart. Yeah. Taskmaster has Venus and Leo. So Mercury passed over your Venus. That's quite interesting. See, Mercury was in your 12th house, which can be quite isolating. It can be contemplative, right? It can be it can be forcing us in a way to sort. It brings painful memories, right? It brings painful memories oftentimes. Going back into your 11th house, maybe you had, maybe you cut someone off or had a split with a friend that you shouldn't have. Yeah, that you see. Mercury rules your 9th house and your 12th house. So once again, it could have something to do with your mental health or therapy. It could have something to do with prison or confinement. It could have something to do with your own isolation or being pushed out of your situation. Maybe you're pushed out of a spiritual group, or what do they call those? Like, common interest group or something like that. You could have been squeezed out of a political thing, or you could be facing legal troubles. Or, like I said, you could be having to help a friend who has any of those things as well. Or you could be reconciling with a friend, you see? It's interesting because the sun rules your 11th house of friends, supporters, and well-wishers, and is in your 12th house. So on the one hand, I would have expected you to have mental health issues and perhaps, dealt with either depression, neurodivergence, or, substances, right? That may be a thing for you, or it may not. But on the other hand, having the sun rule your 11th house also means that you have friends who probably dealt with that stuff, and you've had maybe friends who've either gone in and out of rehab or therapy. The sun isn't terribly unhappy besides being in the 12th house, so maybe it's not that bad. You see? But there's some sort of difficulty with your friends and your relationships and your supporters and your optimism. You might find yourself being quite a pessimist, You might find yourself kind of being depressed and always looking on the glass is always half empty. I don't know if any of that makes sense to you. But once Mercury goes direct again, you'll see a resolution, which is why I think it's the reconciliation between you and someone you may have cut off or haven't spoken to or hasn't supported you in a while. Mars is square the moon, so it's very volatile emotions. You might overreact to things and get very upset and then regret it later and then need to apologize, you know? So, but anyway, with Mercury ruling your ninth house, it could also have to do with your beliefs and legal situations. You know, maybe you rejoin a common interest group. Maybe you have to get back into a group that you left, you know? So, anyway, I don't know if any of that rings true with you. Oh, I just settled all my lawsuits. Fuck you, Debbie. Oh, I was good. There's lawsuits. Anyway. Taskmaster, I'm in hermit mode. Yeah, and that's good, and you'll be in hermit mode for a little bit, right? Venus is going through your 12th house right now, too, which is great on the one. I mean, nothing in your 12th house is great, but it is good because it's a healing transit. Either the benefics, Venus or Jupiter going through the 12th house, indicates psychological healing. Psychological healing. The uncomfortable part comes from facing uncomfortable memories and uncomfortable parts of yourself. Because with the sun in the 12th house, you may have had self-destructive tendencies. So learning to face those is part of this Mercury transit. And with Venus going through the 12th house. Venus in the 12th house says, be alone and enjoy it. Be your own company. Be with yourself to heal yourself, right? And we heal best in comforting situations, being at home, being in the bath, right? All that sort of stuff. You feel uneasy around people. I mean, it makes sense with a 12th house sun. You know, and the sun rules your 11th house. And then having Mars in the 11th house. You know, there's conflict you have with, you know, you probably don't trust groups. You don't trust groups of people. It's probably hard for you to trust people who support you. Like, why the fuck would they do that? You know? So anyway, let's move on though. Let's move on. Oh my gosh. Oh, never mind. See, Mercury is conjunct your ascendant, which is very, very auspicious. Mercury in the first house usually confers a lot of intelligence, so you may be very smart. You know, Moon in the 8th house is losses, so you've probably dealt with death. You know, Cancer's your 10th house. Death of an authority figure, death of a mother, I don't know. People are intimidated by you probably because you have Pluto in the first house, you know? Probably because you have Pluto in the first house. And you're very intelligent, you know? You feel alienated, once again, it's 12th house shit. 12th house shit. And feeling cut off is Mars in the 11th house, you know? But I imagine you had difficulty with your mother. I mean, I could be wrong, but I imagine so. With Mars square the moon. Maybe mom had a bad temper. Mom wasn't very nice. Or mom passed away. You know, that's another thing. You know? The moon is the mother, but I also think of the 10th house as the mother because it's opposite the 4th, which is the father. You know, your mother is in hospice. I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry, baby. Now, this is a very delicate thing to say. But I think your mother will probably go in September or October. Probably September then. I'm so sorry, Taskmaster. I think Mars going through your 10th house could be something to do with your mother. Excuse me. You see. So, I'm sorry, baby. I'm not trying to be mean or whatever, but I would just I'm so sorry, baby. I would just watch out for September. Also because the lunar eclipse is going to be in your 6th house, right? Of health. So anyway, I'm so sorry, baby. I'm so sorry. Okay. Who was after Taskmaster? I can't remember. Lighthouse Dreamer. You're Francesca. Are you still here, Lighthouse Dreamer Francesca? Are you still here? Please tell me if you're still here. I don't know what accent that was. It was random bullshit. Otherwise, I'll start singing L-I-licky-C-K, licky-Y. L-licky-I-C, licky-K-Y. Thank you so much. And please let me know how it goes and if anything happens in September. Because Mars will start going through your 10th house, right, in September. And I imagine when it's square your moon, something significant will happen. Sorry, baby. Hi, cat. Are you trying to come in my lap again? Okay, we'll do that. Come on. Come here, motherfucker. Don't put your claws in my dress. Jesus Christ. Thank you, T.A. Khalil. God bless. Yeah. God bless our friend Ticketmaster. Sorry. I'm just playing Taskmaster. L-I-licky-C-K, licky-Y. L-licky-I-C, licky-K-Y. I got that song stuck in my head. I'm sorry. So, Lighthouse Dreamer, are you still here? Excuse me. Lighthouse Dreamer, tell me if you're still here. Lighthouse. A lighthouse makes light, but a dark house makes dark. Can you imagine a dark house that, that obscures things so you can't see when you're in the dark? It creates dark. It's a dark house. Hello, my sweet. Please tell me if you're here, Francesca. Francesca Lighthouse. Francesca, are you here, my darling? Otherwise, we'll get back to you and we'll go on to the next person. Hello, are you here, sweetheart? Are you here, sweetheart? Although we already did look at your chart earlier by accident. Are you here, baby? Are you here? Because you have an interesting one with Virgo rising. Or did we ever look at Virgo rising? I can't remember. I think we did, actually. So I'm going to move on to someone else. And if our dear friend, Lighthouse, whatever, Francesca, if she comes back, we'll go back to her. But for the time being, because I don't see her on here, I'm going to go to the next person. So after Lighthouse was Vesna. Vesna. So we got Vesna here. We got Vesna. Vesna's in the hazy. So, I'm sorry, I was like born in the 80s, so I still say like dope and sick and homie and stuff like that. I guess people still say homie, and I've heard some younger people say sick. Like, people are now saying based. I'm like, based? Like, I knew about freebasing when I was a kid. Thank you so much, Vesna. We have your chart up. And you are a Gemini rising, which also makes this quite interesting, right? Because Mercury rules your first house. Now, Mercury is in your was in your fourth house and went retrograde back into your third. And you naturally have Mercury in Leo, don't you? Right? So on the one hand, I would expect you to be a good communicator. I mean, probably a good writer, maybe a good speaker. I don't know. No, they're not aspecting each other. But probably a good writer or speaker. Now with Mercury going retrograde back into your third house, though, I think of messages from extended family and siblings. I think of messages from your parents or your father especially. I think of learning new stuff about your past, perhaps, or something to do with your homeland, right, or your place of birth. Could be news about your homeland or place of birth, right? Oh, and you're from Belgrade, so I don't know where you're living now, but you may be getting news about home, right? Or about getting a home or finding a place or living situation. But usually I think of messages from siblings, aunts or uncles, right? Cousins. So you may be getting updates on your place of birth from siblings. Or you may have news about yourself and your health, or, stuff to do with your mind. So sometimes it's like, oh my gosh. Sometimes it's about learning new things. Sometimes it's about your own education. Okay, your fur is like really bothering me. Ugh. Oh my God. Oh. It's like tumbleweeds of cat hair everywhere. Even my cat hair has fucking cat hair. Oh yes, from your sister. T.A. Khalil, what's your rising sign, darling? What's your rising sign? T.A. Khalil. So Vesna, yeah, you heard from your sister. That's very typical with this, right? But again, it could also have to do with test results for yourself, or learning new things, consuming new media, right? Or taking short journeys around your, immediate area, right? Getting out into your community or reconnecting with your community in some way. You see? So I hope that's useful. You have to recognize, though, that Mars is going through your first house, which can be, quite invigorating on the one hand and then painful on the other, because we get to be a bit too arrogant sometimes, or a bit too aggressive with people. Like, you will do this for me, Or again, moving too fast and getting hurt. Cuts, scrapes, burns, scratches, right? Bruises. I love bruises, I love bruises. For other reasons, though. And then Jupiter's also going through your first house. So once Mars leaves there, right, this is all about, oh, thank you, Taskmaster. Thank you so much. I appreciate you too, darling. So you see, you're going to be gaining confidence and healing over this transit, right, with Jupiter in your first house. Just watch out you don't overeat, because sometimes we put on weight. So, unless you don't really care, which is fine too, because we don't body shame around here, We don't body shame. Oh, I was just asking what your rising sign was, T.A. Khalil, because you said you resonated with something. So that was Vesna. And then after Vesna, is Stephanie. Are you still here, Stephanie? Are you still here, Stephanie? Please tell me, Stephanie. Stephanie, step on me, Stephanie. Step on my face, Stephanie. Please. Please, please, please step on my face. Yay! I'm sorry, Stephanie. I'm not trying to dirty talk you. It's just, I only like certain people to do that kind of stuff to me. Usually I'm the one doing the stuff, If you've just joined us, please like the stream and subscribe to my channel. Because we try and do these 3 days a week, and consider becoming a member, because I do members only streams where we do classes. Like, we do actual classes on ancient astrology. So you can see how I do what I do. Because I'm as psychic as a fucking rock, yo. I'm not psychic. I get impressions that are particular to my brain. But I'm reading the signs, you see. Quantum wave function, Charleston, South Carolina. Okay. I don't know what that's all about. Sarah Turnback. Oh, wait, no, not Sarah. Stephanie. Stephanie. Where's your birth information, Stephanie? Where's your birth information? I can't find it. Stephanie, please. Oh, here you go. North Carolina. North Carolina. Wait, who's this Stephanie that I have? Is that you? Gastonia. I mean, this other was from Gastonia. No, this isn't you. Okay, because I had a couple Stephanies. I gotta just get rid of all these charts and start over. But I don't want to lose the ones that I have, because I have a lot of regulars. I have a lot of regulars, and it's really helpful when I have those charts at my disposal, but it's not helpful when I can't find them. I can't believe I haven't eaten today. I haven't eaten today. Stephanie. Fayetteville. Okay. Okay. So please, everyone, please do date, time, city in that order. Date, time, city, because otherwise I know it sounds like such a nitpicky little thing, but it's the way my attention is and the way this program is set up, and it really helps. And it helps me go faster if we have date, time, city. There we go. So this is Stephanie. Step on me. Oh my goodness. Virgo rising. So we've talked a little bit about this already. You have Mars in the first house, which can be difficult. Mars conjunct the ascendant. You may have a reddish hue. You may get really dry skin, something like that. Sun is conjunct the ascendant, which can be very auspicious, right? And see, this is a whole sign house thing. If you've been doing Placidus or another quadrant house system, then you're more accustomed to seeing, your sun in the second house. As far as I'm concerned, though, I do whole sign houses, and it puts your sun in the first house, And you're basically a new moon, baby, So you have kind of an Aries-ish nature, right? You're sort of like raring to go, You might feel a bit overly confident. Sometimes I see the sun in the first house and I think arrogant. Like what's an arrogant Virgo look like? Know it all. They're always right. That kind of thing. But moon conjunct Venus, you're very sweet. Now, Mercury is going... My daughter has moon conjunct Venus. And just so thoughtful and sweet. And especially Libra, too. So thoughtful and sweet. But you probably exaggerate with Mars or Mercury opposite Jupiter. You bullshitter, you. Probably say things just to keep the peace so people don't get upset, But you exaggerate. I bet you exaggerate and tell little... It's probably not lies necessarily, but you definitely inflate things, don't you? You definitely inflate things. Let's see who's here. T.A. Kalo. Stephanie's here. Stephanie's there. So anyway, Mercury's going back into your 12th house, which means you left something undone in terms of your mental health, right? Sense of isolation, being alone. Maybe you need to go back and contemplate something. When Mercury went into your first house for a little bit, you turned outward, Your attention went to yourself, perhaps. Your own development, things you need to do, things you want to do. Yeah. You felt probably intelligent and very eloquent, you see. And then Mercury going back into your 12th house, you clam up again. You get quiet. There's something you have to... There's painful memories coming back up, right? Now, Mercury rules your first house, which is why I'm saying painful memories about you or self-destructive patterns that you have to address, right? But Mercury also rules your 10th house, Ugh, cat hair everywhere. Always gets on my makeup and in my mouth and in my face. Ugh, gross. Ugh. Anyway, it can also be, I hate to say it, but losing a job, getting a bad reputation, or maybe you did something while Mercury was going through your 12th house that made you embarrassed or embarrassed you in front of other people, right? And then you had to hide yourself for a little bit. Right? But typically we see facing self-destructive behavior once again, or resolving these sorts of things, right? Once being faced with them. And I think in your case, it's probably painful memories, right? You naturally have not naturally, but you have natally Mercury in the second house, right? Which, gives a facility in terms of managing resources. Like it's good with economy, knowing when to hold them and knowing when to fold them, like knowing when to pull back. So, Lachana says my birth info is in there somewhere. Thank you, Lachana. I didn't ask for it. I'm glad it's there, though, when I get to it. I mean, I asked for everyone to put their birth info in there, but wasn't sure why you were bringing it up. So anyway, that's very interesting stuff. But let's move on to the next person, because I have to eat. I'm very hungry, and I have not eaten today. I woke up at 7:30, and it's now 12:50 here. So it's almost 1 o'clock, and I haven't eaten. So that was Stephanie. We did Rosa. We did Taskmaster. Jay, is Jay Management still here? Is Jay still here? Or is Rogue still here? Do we have Rogue or Jay? Can I see Rogue or Jay? Otherwise, I'll get to one of the next people. Rogue or Jay? Hello. We have a message for Rogue or Jay. Rogue or Jay? Rogue or Jay, we have found your child. Please come to the front, please, to pick up your child. Thank you. I love listening to your chart readings. Thank you, Stephanie. I learned so much from you. Yeah, please consider becoming a member too and joining our classes, because it's quite interesting stuff. And at least I'm not boring when I talk about this stuff. Like, I'm relatively interesting, and astrologers are quite boring. We lost all our people. So anyway, I'm not going to worry about Rogue. If Rogue comes back, we'll go to Rogue. Or Jay. Lachana is here. So Lachana. So we're going to Lachana now. I'm going back to Lachana's info. So we have Lachana. Lachana says, I used to get ghosted, now I do the ghosting. Good. So we have Youngstown, Ohio. Youngstown, Ohio. Lachana Adams. No relation to Wednesday Adams, right? Speaking of getting ghosted. Thank you for doing Date Time City. Lachana. 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 Ohio. Excuse me. Excuse me. Lachana. Lachana. Capricorn rising. We haven't had a Cap rising today. That's great. My daughter's a Cap rising. So Mercury went into your 9th house in Virgo, right? Which is all about, learning new things, discovering new things, higher education. Mercury rules what? Your 9th house and your 6th house, right? So it could be, once again, having to face a legal, ew, you motherfucker. I just stepped, see, I have to clean all this up in a little bit. I stepped in his fucking hairball. Ugh. Ugh. It's so gross. Oh, I'm sorry I had to say that out loud, but it's so gross. There could be a legal issue. A conflict, around ideology or the law. A conflict around learning or philosophy. You see? It could be an illness from someone, involved in uh, your religion or your whatever you're interested in, all that kind of stuff. The ninth house is what we believe, you know. The other thing is the ninth house is long journeys. I think of typically to another country or even in, out of state in the United States, to me can be a ninth house thing. The third house is your immediate community, right? Some states feel like a foreign country, don't they? you know? Especially me. I grew up in California. How do I move this shit over here? Ugh. So Mercury, as I said, retrograde back into the 8th house. And the 8th house is other people's stuff. It's debt. It's loss. It's payments that we owe. Criminal behavior. Fear also. And Saturn's in your 8th house too, in your natal chart. So the life motif oftentimes is about loss. Yeah, you may have had to face death early on in your life. Before age 29 or 30 or something, a significant death. Saturn rules your 1st and your 2nd house. See, you probably, when I see the 1st house ruler in the 8th house, I think of self-harm, and so I always tell people, like, please, be kind to yourself. Remember that confidence comes from a sense of accomplishment. So you have to do things and take risks and have goals. But see, you have Pluto relatively conjunct Venus up here, Venus relatively conjunct Pluto at the top of your chart, in the 10th house, which is very significant, and Venus is happy, right? So these are surmountable difficulties. Look, Mars is not doing night, and it's an unhappy Mars in Cancer. At least it's not applying because Mars is retrograde. But Mars makes it difficult too with all this. So you could get lucky with life direction and career and stuff like that, but then there are conflicts and things that enter in. And perhaps you've been fired a couple times, I don't know. But Mercury here is in Scorpio, in your 11th house. Mercury in Scorpio can be like very suspicious and paranoid, But Mercury, as I said, going from the 9th house to the 8th, right? So in terms of loss, it could be loss of money, right? It could be having to pay off a debt, or similar to the 2nd house, an expense that you missed or you forgot about, or a surprise expense. I know with medical stuff, and remember, we see medical stuff in the 6th house. I get these fucking medical bills that I wasn't expecting. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, oh my God, why am I paying this now? Right? So that's one possibility too. I have lots of doctor's appointments, right? Because I'm in therapy and I have like 3 chronic illnesses. So I get a lot of these medical bills. It could be something like that. But see, the 8th house Saturn, what it teaches you over time is how to let go. That loss doesn't have to be a problem if we learn to let things go, right? And you may have a lot of fear around loss and a lot of fear in general. I wonder if you had a friend pass away too, maybe before your 30th birthday. 30th birthday. Anyway, it's all quite interesting stuff, isn't it? It's all quite interesting stuff. It could also be something to do with an animal or a pet. The death of a pet, the sickness of a pet. I don't know. But those are difficult things, I know. No self-harm, but yes on the loss. Yeah, see, I always bring up the self-harm thing because I saw this in Ernest Hemingway's chart and the charts of some other famous people who either hurt themselves or took their own lives, So, I just bring it up because it's the worst case scenario, and I tend to try and be still relatively tactful about it and not just say shitty stuff or stuff that's kind of alarming to people. It's alarming how charming I feel. Did we do Vesna yet? Yeah, we did Vesna. Vesna, we did you, right? I'm pretty sure we did Vesna. I remember Belgrade. Jay, we didn't see Jay. We're not sure where Jay went. We don't... It looks like Rogue is not here. We did Lachana. We did Mama Tanswan. T.A. Khalil. We have to get to T.A. Khalil. T.A. See, when I see this, I think of Khalil Gibran. Are you familiar with Khalil Gibran? Are you familiar with Khalil Gibran? You're still here, right? T.A. Khalil. Finishing my lunch now. Thanks for all the entertaining and the light. Oh my gosh, you left? You just left, T.A. Khalil? I was just about to get to your fucking chart. Okay, last chance. Is there anyone still here who didn't get a reading? And I'm going to sit here for just a second and bullshit while I wait to see if any person did not get a reading. Is there anyone who wanted a reading and did not get a reading? And please also subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And like the stream. I lost my ball. My squishy ball. It's okay, I have other ones. Ooh, I also have kinetic sand. I love kinetic sand. When my daughter gets over her fidgets or her craft stuff that I like, she gives it to me. She gives it to me. Ooh, kinetic sand. Oops, I spilled some. I keep them in 2 bags so it doesn't dry out. Who else wants a fucking reading, yo? Sup. Sup. What's up? Okay, well, I had a great time. I hope you did too. For those of you who got readings, I get to them sequentially, you know. Thank you, Quantum. Thank you. And please tell your friends, you know, I gotta find like young people to get interested in this stuff. So people were telling me I should stream on Twitch. I don't know what y'all think about that, but I'm trying. And then Bexy was telling me I should be on Reddit. I've never been on Reddit before. Yeah, I'm going to go check on my kitties right now. It looks like Castor is doing okay, the smaller one. But I got to go check on Pollux and make sure he's gone potty. Because otherwise I need to call the vet again and he needs an enema. You know? He needs an enema. My poor baby. So. Anyway, I love you all. I hope you had a good time too. Right, we're gonna go live again. What day? Probably Thursday. Either Thursday or Friday. We'll go live again. It'll be around the same time, you know. So please join us. I'll try and do a members only live stream again also soon. I'll have to figure out which day. And we're going to go to the second installment of astrological lessons. We're going to talk about the signs and the planets. Yeah? And we're going to go over information from Demetra George's Ancient Astrology, Theory and Practice, which has wonderful stuff about the planets. And we're going to look at Vedic balance. So here, I'm going to show you really quick. We're going to go over this book. Let me move all this shit out the way. I hate when I can't see things. So we're going to go over this book, Ancient Astrology, Theory and Practice, with the planetary stuff. And we're going to use this book to go over planets, right? Vedic Valens Anthology, right? From the 2nd century. So very interesting stuff. Thank you, Cassie. You have an amazing rest of your week, too. And I'll see a lot of you Thursday. And maybe I'll be able to go again on Friday for members only. So anyway, love you very much.